Let's start by maybe closing the eyes and allowing ourselves to become nice and calm, nice and focused. Your feet to just come underneath us, and we'll allow the toes to point forwards. So let's start to register how much of our foot is connected to the floor, and then we can start to explore where the weight is around the foot. So let's gently take our weight over the front of our foot, and then we'll go round to one side, into the heel, and around to the opposite side. And we'll do that again, into the front of the foot, around to one side, into the heel, and around to the opposite side. Now, as we come forwards here, I nearly fell over there, sorry guys. Let's reverse it. So we'll take that circle back in the opposite direction. And around. You might notice that one side feels more comfortable than the other, or forwards or back feels more comfortable. Allow yourself to gently spiral inwards. So we're allowing that circle to come in gently. Finding our weight with our weight right in the centre of our 2 feet. And when we find that place, we'll allow ourselves to just gently soften through the knees, softening through the hip sockets. Focus to come in on your pelvis. So as if your pelvis were a bucket of water filled to the top, we'll gently tip a little bit of water out of the front of the bucket, and we'll gently tip a little bit of water out of the back of the bucket. Let's take it through those 2 extremes once again. Find that place where our bucket of water comes to level. And we feel as though the tailbone's just dropping down towards the space between the heels. From that dropped sensation through the tailbone, let's allow ourselves to lengthen, really tall through the spine. The head floats up towards the space above us. And we'll allow the shoulders to gently lift. And we'll roll the shoulders back and down. Good, let's do that a few times. Lifting the shoulders. Rolling the shoulders back and down. Shoulders ease towards one another and sink down towards the tailbone. So with those shoulders gliding down towards the tailbone, feel that you've got a connection from the tailbone to the pubic bone with the muscles that are right at the bottom of the pelvis, the pelvic floor muscles. And as you draw those muscles in, feel a little bit of a connection come through the tummy muscles. Get some drawing in. Nice deep breath. Let's allow the right arm to float gently forwards and up. Breathing in as we float back down. Changing over to the other side, the opposite arm floats forwards and up. And breathing in as we float back down. Down the back. One arm floats forwards and the other one floats down. Lovely. Allow the arms to rest down by your sides. Take a nice deep breath for me. As you breathe out, allow the right ear to dip down towards the right shoulder. And allow the head to lift up and over to the second side. Echo. Pause. Each side. The centre. Let's allow the head to gently rotate round to the right side. Gently round to the second side. More on each side. Coming to the centre this time, we'll release the chin towards the chest, let the head become heavy, and we'll start to gently roll down through the spine. Coming down through the vertebrae bit by bit, piece by piece. At the bottom, and then breathing out as we roll up through the spine. We'll let the head come on top, we'll lift the shoulders, roll the shoulders back and down, let both arms float forwards and up. Breathing in as the arms float back down. And from there, just take a little soften through the knees for me, let the arms open out to the side. Lovely. Okay, good. Rolling down through the spine. And breathing out as we roll back up through the spine. So the head comes on top, we lift the shoulders, roll the shoulders back and down, and allow both the arms to float forwards and up. Breathing in as the arms float back down. Again, soften through the knees, and just notice if you find you get to a point where the torso tips you forwards. I want you to, in fact, let's just take 2 more little bends of the knees. I want you to just think about letting the back slide down and slide back up. That's better. Good. 1 more. Much better. Lovely. Good. Let's add that to our roll down once again. So rolling down through the spine. Now as we get to the bottom here, give your head a little shake, just a gentle from side to side to make sure you're not holding any tension, and then we'll roll back up again. Shoulders roll back and down, both arms float forwards and up. Breathing in as we allow those arms to float back down. Bending through the knees, arms open out to the side. And then just lengthening the legs, we're going to take out a little side bend up and over to the right side. Coming through the centre, that's it Janet, lovely. Up and over to the second side. Good, once again on each side. And then again we'll add that to our roll down. Through the top of the head, rolling down through the spine. Now, when we get to the bottom this time, let's take a really nice crease into the knees and the hips so that we're coming to a real crouch position, and then we'll push the heels away, let the head become heavy as we roll back up. So we're really getting a bit of warmth through the knees and the ankles. Lifting the shoulders, roll them back and down, arms float forwards and up. Let's see if we can get those shoulders to glide down the back as we do. The arms open out to the side, bend through the knees. Side bend for me there, up and over to the right side. If you want to add the top arm, do. More on each side. See if you can get that arm to lengthen up and over like it's a rainbow. Coming all the way over. Through the top of the head, rolling gently down through the spine. We'll take that nice crease into the knees, check you've got a really heavy head, and then rolling back up again. Rolling the shoulders back and down, coming up, the arms come forwards and up. Breathing in as you float the arms back down again. Bend through the knees, let the arms open out to the side. Yeah, lovely. Coming up and over to the right side. Centre, up and over to the opposite side. Come into the centre. Let's draw the fingertips in towards one another. Now, before we do our spine twists, we're going to do just some little hip tips here to see if we can sort of isolate through the pelvis. So imagine there's a wall that you've got right by your elbow, and we're just trying to push the hip towards the wall. Yeah, nice. Coming back into the centre, same on the left side. Push the hip towards the wall. Good. And you're trying to keep the hip kind of level, but it pushes just sideways. Yeah, good. So rather than it being a tip like this, we want it to be a tip from the hip, and the weight transfers all the way onto that one foot. That is looking good, guys, well done. And then bringing the weight back into the centre, shoulders glide down the back, rib cage gently rotates around. Let those shoulders descend down, breathing in as we come back to the centre. And then rotating around to the opposite side. Turn back to the centre. Lovely, keeping that going for me. Softness in the knees, so we're not locking into the kneecaps. And again, you've got that nice connection with the weight in the whole of the foot. There, bring the arms just in front of us. Let those shoulders really pull back and down. Squeeze in through the elbows and allow the arms to open out. Lovely. Just two more like that. Nice connection through those core muscles, so the pelvic floor's engaging, belly button squeezing in. Shoulders squeeze together. This time we'll take that right hand around and above the head. Circling around. Changing to the opposite side. Circling around, lovely. Let's see if we can do one more on each side. Side. The thumbs are going to lead the way. The right hand's going to go high, the left arm's going to go low on the diagonal. Lovely. And then we draw the arms back in, changing over to the opposite side. So really opening across the chest. Side. Bring the arms in this time. Give yourself a big hug. See if you can grab your shoulder blades. Take a nice breath there. Let the chin tuck in. You've still got that nice connection through the core muscles. Just allow your head to tip forward slightly. So just the upper back curves. You've got the tailbone still descending down. And your nice deep breath. There's a sense of connection through the core. Let it really release down. And then just to add in a high release, just to get our placement there, we've got a squeeze in the tummy. We're going to keep the breastbone lifting. Keep lifting, lifting. Now the chin stays in place with the rib cage, so you're not going to allow the chin to jog backwards. You're looking up a little, but not all the way for the sky. There's no break in the neck. Just one more there, tipping forwards. Allow yourself to take that little curve. And then just allow the arms to release. And then allow yourself to come up, 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 up. Breastbone for the sky. This time the shoulders can really melt down the back. Back into the centre. Hold it for me there. Let's find some energy in our right hand. So the right hand's going to energise with the fingertips pointing forwards. So we'll take the hand behind us and then forwards. The fingers point back and then forwards. Good. Keeping that connection through your tummy. Just notice that your shoulders are still gliding down the back. And then from there, the outside of the hand is going to open out to the side. Floating gently down. And out, lovely. Good. And just seeing where it goes to, where you can take it to. It might be that you get pins and needles at some point, or even a sort of feeling of heat. Shake out. Changing over to the other side. Energy points, the fingers point forwards with a sense of energy through the heel of the hand, and then we point the fingertips back and forwards, and pointing back and forwards. Two more like that. side of the hand is going to push out to the side. Yeah, nice. Drawing the arm back down. And again, we allow the arm to open out. Softening back down. A little shake out. So we're just going to allow the right foot to come behind the left foot, as if you need the toilet. Yeah, nice. So we'll take a little roll down. Now, those of us that are hypermobile, we're just going to check that we're not locking the knee, which is really hard to do. So back leg particularly, try not to lock it out at the knee. Squeezing in through the core, take a little roll down. Now, really, the stretch begins when you get down there, but I think the rolling down is a major balance exercise in its own right. So, you know, enjoy the journey. When you get there, take a moment to just ease into that stretch. Maybe the hands reach the floor, maybe they don't, and that's okay. We've got a squeeze in the tummy, and we're really stabilising through the core. We've got that softness in the knees. Shoulders glide down the back. Check the head's nice and heavy. Take a breath, and then squeezing through the tummy, rolling back up if we can. A little bit of softness through the knees. Ooh, nice one. Take a breath. Let's reach up and over to the right side. Fingertips of the left hand stretched down. So rather than side, we're thinking lifting up, because it's a tricky one on balance, yeah? Nice. And then changing to the other side. Now you may, hopefully you are, feel a little bit of a stretch across the side of the body and maybe the side of the leg. Beautiful. Coming through to the centre, let's change over legs. Soften through the knee and then change to the other side. Ooh, I can see myself in the camera. That didn't look pretty. Never mind, there's no brace needed at that point. Softening at the knees, connecting in through the tummy, shoulders gliding down, and then we'll roll down once we've got that balance. Well done, that's it, nice. Rolling gently down, softening at the knees. Allow ourselves to ease over the legs. We may be feeling quite a nice stretch in the outside of the leg. It might be more bottom. Let's let the head be really heavy. From there, and then with a little bit of softness in the knees, a nice strength through the core, we're coming up to standing. Again, reaching up and over, letting the lower hand reach down the side of the leg. So as you get that stretch up through the side, you really get that nice lengthening in the side of the body. And coming through the centre, up and over to the opposite side. Releasing there, lovely. I think that was a good intro to our balance work. Let's do some one-legged balance work from here. So we'll allow one foot to lift away from the floor. And allow that foot to float gently down. And we'll change on to the other side. That was me getting my hair out of my eyes, distracted me. Let's do that once again on each side. Sorry, I realise if I wobble, you're always looking at me, so it's no good if the person in front of you wobbles, is it? Sorry about that, guys. So we've got that nice squeeze in the tummy, the leg is lifting. So particularly for those of us that find when we do those pliés, those knee bends, the hips just, ooh, they bring you forwards because they pull on in. Let's see if we can give them a little bit of lengthening. We're going to do those lovely lunges that we all know and love. So we'll lift the right leg and then we'll take a nice big step forwards and then we'll bend on down. Bending into that back knee. And then let's transfer back, See if we can find that balance work and float back down. Change into the other side. Big step forwards. And sinking down. Again, transferring back. So, first leg steps forwards. Now, we sink down. I want you to see if you can tip your tailbone under, so you kind of push the pelvis underneath you, and we get a nice stretch down that front hip. Yeah, there it is, nice. Good, bend in the knees, transfer back. Oh, she says, got no power in my back today. Come on, let's do the second side. And bend in through that back knee, and again, tuck in under, see if we can get a nice stretch down the front of that hip there. Yeah, nice. Nice squeeze through the tummy. Let's hoik our weight back. And soften in there. Taking the leg just behind you. So we'll take a little stretch back. And then drawing the leg back in. Strong through the tummy. Little stretch back. Now, I think this feels a bit odd when you're standing, but we're going to do the modified, you know the hands and knees work? We're going to do it from standing. So it's the opposite arm to leg that stretches away. It should be the same arm as leg, and I don't know why. So keep that going for me. As you do, just check that you don't pull one shoulder back. So we want to be square through the shoulders. Mainly just for my aesthetics. But we stay square, hips and shoulders stay square. Yeah, lovely. Finishing off on that second side. And as we finish off on that second side, let's just take our weight into that back foot. Ease the heel all the way down for me, so you really plant the back foot. Then we'll bend that front knee. The heel might start to lift away. That's okay. And we'll breathe. Now, once again, square the hips to the front, to your front. Watch that knee's not knocking in. See if it can stay aligned, pointing forwards. Take a breath. Let's see if that back foot can lift up, come right up to the bottom, and we can catch hold of it. If you've got a piece of furniture nearby that you want to grab, that's absolutely fine. Or possibly a family member, you could just grab them as well. Knees squished together, and again we're tipping that hip forwards, and then we get a nice stretch down that front hip once again. Good. Changing over to the other side, so we'll take that other leg back, and we'll plant the toe, plant the whole of the foot, and then softening through the front of the knee. Yeah, that's good. That's it, lovely. That's it, Mary, good. Yeah. And then just allowing, as you come forward, see if you can give it a little bit more of a diagonal lean. Yeah, so front knee, back leg stretches. Nice deep breath. Now you're going to take hold of that back foot, so we'll bring the foot as close to the bottom as we can. Notice we make it quite a swift action. If we take too long over it, the hamstring really doesn't like us. So the hamstring starts to sort of cramp. But if we make it quite swift, it doesn't seem to upset it as much. Nice one. Using a bit of furniture if you need it, that's all right. Well done. And release in there. Well done, guys. Good. Let's allow ourselves to come down to the floor. We're going to do some hands and knees work, and then we'll come into our cat stretch work. So rolling gently down through the spine. Hands to come underneath the shoulders. We'll allow the knees to come underneath the hips. So we'll push the back up into the sky, let the head drop between the arms and the tailbone points down. And then we'll lengthen the head and the tail away from one another. And again, we'll push the back up into the sky. From the head and the tail away from one another. Good, that's it, lovely. Just 2 more. Mindful that the tummy is pushing upwards and we've got that sense of length through the neck, through the back, and a release into the neck. Then let's take our thread in the needle. So we'll allow the right hand to lift and we'll weave the right hand through the gap between the hand and the knee. And we'll breathe in as the arm returns. Good, changing over to the other side. We've got some neck stuff, shoulder stuff going on today. So if we can be really thoughtful about following the hand with our gaze. For us now, as you feel you're happy to, we can start to add in that opening. So the arm can just gently open out, and it might be that it only opens out to the side, but it might start to lengthen upwards. See how it feels. Too much. All right, just rest that bit. We'll get on the floor in a minute. Yeah. And let's allow ourselves to just sit back onto our heels. We'll lengthen the arms out in front of us, rest the forehead and breathe nice and gently. So with the breath. Squeeze in the pelvic floor for me. Just curl up to that kneeling position. Ourselves round to a seated position, take some capital C work. Nice and tall. So we lengthen nice and tall through the spine. We'll allow the hands to come round the backs of the thighs. We'll allow the shoulders to glide down the back and the head extends out and away. And then we're going to just take a little tip through the tailbone. And then we're going to lengthen up nice and tall from there. So let's keep that moving, gently curving through the lower back and then lengthening up nice and tall. And it might be good if we start off by just working on creating that nice movement through the lower back. If you know you're really happy with this and you're like, rah, let's get this party started, Emma, then allow the arms to lengthen out and away. And you're going to allow yourself to curl all the way to that challenge point, all the way to that place just before struggle, just before you start to shudder, just before the tummy domes. And we're keeping the shoulders gliding down the back as we go. Keep it small if you know there are issues today. You'll love it when I just stop and have a cup of tea while you're all working hard. Let's allow ourselves to roll all the way down to the floor and bring ourselves into a nice comfortable position there. To allow yourself to completely surrender to the floor. Yeah, nice. And then let's allow the head to gently roll from side to side. Sometimes when we're feeling particularly sore down one side of the body, we find that once we get to that lying position, we're actually lying a bit like a banana somewhere around the body. So just take the time now to make sure the head is really symmetrical with your shoulders, and your hips are really symmetrical with your shoulders also, so you've got a nice symmetrical body. Well, that would be our aim anyway. We'll let the head come into the centre, And we'll just allow the chin to tuck in so the back of the neck really lengthens. Now I want you to imagine that you've got a warm pebble on your breastbone here, and you're just going to give that warm pebble all your tension, all your anxiety, and then you're going to allow me to take it away and release. So as you hold, as you release that tension from the breastbone, you're going to let the shoulder blades release down into the ground. You're going to let the arms release, and then let's bring the arms right by our sides and let the fingers really stretch down towards the toes. So there's a sense of energy in the shoulders, and as you feel that energy in the shoulders, notice the energy start to come all the way down your back. Let's bring the feet onto the floor. Ourselves to just take a little rock through the pelvis. And let's allow it to come lower back pressing into the floor and then tipping in the other direction. So we're tipping through those two extremes. Explore of that. It should feel quite good. There might be a little, ooh, there's a spot moment. And that's okay, it's good to register those. Now also for me, come to level and then take a little side to side tip. So that might feel quite different as well, just letting the pelvis tip from one side to the other. And then we'll allow ourselves to find that place where we feel as though all those sort of 4 points are nice and level with one another. And when you find that place, allow yourself to draw in through the tummy, lift in through the pelvic floor, and feel that the rib cage can really melt into the ground. Beautiful. The core muscles, nice deep breath, right foot floats just an inch away from the floor. Just enough that if you were resting in soft sand, I could see the imprint you'd left behind. And then float that foot back down, change over to the other side. And we lift. And floating gently down. So we're changing sides each time. Next time we allow the right foot to come away from the floor, we'll allow the knee to come to hover above the hip socket, bringing the calf to a 90-degree angle. Let's take some knee circles here. So we'll take 3 in one direction and 3 in the other direction. Gently circling. So you've got that nice squeeze in through the tummy. Circle in the opposite direction. For me there, take a breath. Just stretch that leg away from you as if you were pressing a button on the wall beyond you. Breathe in as the leg returns. Take in 4 more like that. 4 more. Belly buttons connecting. Finished off your last one there, we'll allow that foot to float down towards the floor. Take a breath for me, same knee, same leg, the knee's going to float open to the side, you're going to keep the hips really nice and still. Breath in as you draw the leg back in, 4 more for me there, 4, good, lovely. So it might be that putting the hands on the hips helps, just to make sure that they're not tipping from side to side. I tend to put my thumb on my rib cage and my fingers on my hips because I know I have a tendency to flare my rib cage. So I focus in on the connection between the 2 points. I believe that's 5. Let's take a deep breath from there. Let's take a few pelvic tilts. So we'll just allow ourselves to tip the pelvis and gently curve the tailbone up. And then rolling back down. Let's do 3 more like that. Just a little tip in the lower back, just to take us out of neutral, and then allow us to return back to neutral. It should feel quite nice. Do let me know, and we'll have a think about why that might be. Turning back to neutral, so hip bones and pubic bone are level. Scooping in through the tummy, allow that left knee to lift. Rib cage is soft. Circling through that left leg. You've got 3 in one direction and 3 in the opposite direction. Let me slurp your tea while you do that. As that leg comes back to stillness, we're going for those leg extensions. So we've got a neutral spine, stretching the leg away, keeping the ribs and the hips connected, and drawing that leg back in. And again, we stretch away. Put back down, and then we've got those knee openers. So squeezing in through the core, that same leg, the knee's going to open out to the side, breathing in as the leg returns. That's it, good, good. Keep that going for me. Now, again, focusing on not allowing the hip to tip as the knee opens out to the side. So I want to keep the pelvis really nice and stable. That looks beautiful. When you've done your 5, bring it. Continue with those pelvic tilts, and if you want to take it into the full shoulder bridge, we can do. So we'll take a nice deep breath, rolling gently through the spine. Come to that place where knees, hips and shoulders are in line. Take a breath. Breathing out as we float gently back down. Pressing the lower back into the floor. Pelvis comes down to the ground and we return back to neutral. Good. Now, keep that going for me. This time, if you want to, when you get to the top of the shoulder bridge, we'll bring the arms up towards the sky. Shoulders stay descending down. Float the spine back down, one by one. So, those of us that are feeling that the shoulders and neck are not happy today, this may be challenge enough. Let the arms release back by our sides. And again, we press the lower back into the floor, rolling up through the spine. Some of us will be able to find a place where the arms lift all the way over the head. Or it might be a place in between those 2 extremes. So see where works well for you. We're rolling down through the vertebrae, coming down bit by bit. Pressing the lower back into the floor, pelvis comes back to neutral, arms come back by our sides. And if you feel you want to, fingers reach for the toes, head and shoulders lift away from the floor. We're bringing in that rectus abdominis work, breathing in as we float back down. So we know if there's any rectus abdominis issues or osteoporosis, the abdominal curl-ups are we're just not going to do those. Some little challenges in here if you feel you want to, feel that's good for you and your body today. If you're thinking actually really manipulating the spines where I'm at today, Emma, that's fine, you stay where you are. So what we'll do is as we get to the top of the shoulder bridge this time, we'll see about adding those little leg lifts in. So we've got hips, knees and shoulders in line, pelvis is going to stay still, use the bottom to allow the leg to lift. Stretch the toe up for the sky, floating the foot back down. Changing over to the other side, extend and lengthen the leg and floating back down. Good, then bring the arms in and we're floating back down. So you might find as you start to think about lifting the feet, hamstrings are really talking to you, in which case it might be that we just think about how we're going to transfer the weight and how we would change from one foot to the other. It might be that just the heel lifts, it might be that the foot and just the tip of the toe lifts. See what works for you. Taking just one more. Now this time if you're feeling adventurous, when you get to the top, the leg lifts, stretches up for the sky,
Let that leg open out to the side. And then draw the leg back to the centre. Bend the knee, float the foot down. Hips stay nice and still, make sure the pelvis doesn't drop. And leg opens out to the side. Drawing that leg back in, floating the foot back down. And we're coming down through the vertebrae. You can have the arms if that feels nice. From there, bringing the arms back by our sides. Fingers reach for the toes. Head and shoulders lift away. Breathing in as you float back down. Let's bring the knees in and give them both a good hug. We all kind of instinctively do a little side to side rock when we give the knees a little hug. It feels quite nice on the back, like a little massage on the floor. Sometimes it's quite nice to add a little circle to that, so we can push the knees away and then bring them in a bit closer, circle them away and bring them in a bit closer. The floor with the back. Nice tight squeeze in the tummy. We're just going to allow the right leg to slide away from us, so we get a nice sense of one knee pulling in, a nice lengthening across one of the hips there, and the back presses into the floor, so that feels quite nice in the lower back also. Let's allow that leg to come just a little way across us and a little way out to the side. A little way across and then out to the side. That's it, just that lifted leg. That's it, lovely. Yeah, nice. And then let's change over to the other leg. So bring that right knee in, give it a good hug, and then we'll slide that left leg away from us, letting that left leg rest down onto the floor. Really feel as though you can release and relax it into the ground. And then that right knee just comes across the body and then gently across and out to the side. You're doing fine, that's it. Yeah. Now the feet to come onto the floor. In fact, no, let's bring both the knees in, because I want to see if we can do a two-legged tundra position from here. So we kind of have two ways that we come into the two-legged tundra position, and some people find this one more achievable. So we've got the knees pulled in nice and tight. We're scooping in through the tummy. As you're scooping through the tummy, feel the pelvic floor brace for you also. Let's allow the arms to release down by our sides. Quite a challenge for the hip flexors, quite a challenge for the core muscles. We've got the knees pulled in nice and tight. Now from here, we'll start to allow the knees to start to just move a little bit further away from us. Really tuning into how the back feels, tuning into when you get to a point where the belly starts to sort of dome upwards, push away from you. We don't really want it to push away, we want it to stay scooping down. We've got the knees coming to hover above the hip socket, and we've got that calf coming to a 90-degree angle. So we keep breathing and squeezing, letting those shoulders glide down the back, taking nice deep breaths there. If you start to think this is too demanding on my core muscles, my back's feeling uncomfortable, just draw the knees in a little. And if you think, no, way too much for me, one foot can rest onto the floor and we'll return back to neutral. But currently, we've got the back pressing into the floor. We'll take a deep breath from here. Let's allow the right leg to stretch away from us. Breathe in as the leg returns. Changing over to the other leg. If you're working with one leg lifted, you can allow yourself to do 5 on the right side and then 5 on the left side. or whichever is your lifted leg. You've got the belly button squeezing down, back's pressing into the floor, rib cage presses into the floor. More on each side if we're working with 2 legs lifted. And then we'll bring those knees in towards the chest and once again give them a hug, a little tip from side to side. Let's come into that 100 position again, so whichever option works for you. Squeezing in through the tummy, arms resting down by your side. If we can, we're finding the 2-legged version with the back pressing into the floor. If you want to work with 1 leg lifted, by all means do. Take a deep breath. Right leg is going to lower towards the floor. It's the thigh bone that's lowering towards the floor. Breathe in as you bring the leg back up. Change over to the other side. The thigh bone is lowering towards the floor. Breathe in as the leg lifts. Beautiful. Now, have a little play with whether you can open the angle of the knee, which would mean that as you start to lower the leg, the thigh bone, the foot would be further away from you. So it would be a heavier lever. Yeah, loving your work, guys. Nice. Just a little note, if you want to alternate between a pointed foot and a flexed foot, do, because this is the one where people sometimes get cramp in their feet. So if you want to fiddle around with flexed feet, pointed feet, or just checking that they're floppy and not creating too much tension, that's all good. Woo! Last one. Bring the knees in. Nice work, guys. Well done. Let's do a little stretch for those hamstrings while we're here. So we'll allow the left foot to rest down onto the floor. We'll lengthen the right leg up for the sky. If you've got a band or a belt or a towel or something you can wrap around your foot, hold on to the ends, you can do. We've got a triathlete in the group, so sometimes we've got inner tubes in the class, which is also marvellous. It's kind of underselling you a little bit there, actually. Got an Iron Man in the group. Whoop whoop. With the breath, and once again just allow that leg to come slightly across the midline. Nice and deep with the breath. Lovely, and then gently out to the side. Taking it across. Now we have stretched out those IT bands, so it shouldn't feel quite as extreme as it might do some other days. And then out to the side. Bring the leg into the centre, hold it for me there and just take a little circle for me. A little circle as if you're drawing on the ceiling. This is the same as our knee circles, but because we've got the lower back pressing into the floor, you might find you can get a little bit more range of movement. Take it back in the opposite direction. However, because you've got your leg fully extended, the hamstring might be stopping you a little bit, so it might not be a massively extreme circle. Good, finishing off there, float the leg down, but bring the right foot across the left knee. So if you've lengthened the left leg, just bend it in again for me. Take that right leg across, let the right hand push the right knee away. Now if you can, weaving the hands around the left thigh and ease the legs in close to you. If you've got neck and shoulder stuff going on today, I appreciate that might be too much, in which case just adjust yourself so you're by a wall or a sofa, and just pop your foot up onto the sofa so it gets right into that buttock. That's it, nice. And then you can have a little bit of a wriggle there. Sometimes I find that I need to sort of shift from side to side to find where the place is that gets the full-on stretch. And then we'll change over to the other leg. So the left leg lengthens up for the sky. We hold on around the back of the thigh. Once again, we're going to allow ourselves to really release into the floor here. So it might be that the shoulders need to melt down a little bit more. It might be that the chin needs to tuck in a little bit more. We might be allowing the pelvis to really release down into the ground. We're scooping in through the tummy. That leg to just ease that bit closer towards us. Nice deep breath. We'll take that leg just across the midline of the body. Up to the side. So I've just remembered that when I first started to teach, someone mentioned to me that a lot of the time I'll say take a deep breath in and then I'll carry on talking. So please do breathe out again, even if I haven't mentioned it. Just keep the breath flowing. On in each direction. The leg to come into the centre, and then we'll take those little circles. Those of us that haven't got a band, we can just get rid of the arm so we're not restricting the leg. Either rest those arms down by yourself, or you can bring them onto the torso if that helps you to really find that you've scooped the tummy in. And then we'll change the direction of that leg, looking to keep those hips nice and still. From there, taking that left foot across the right knee, and we'll allow the left knee to fall open to the side. Once again, if you can, grabbing hold of that right thigh, the one that's got the foot on the floor, or propping your right foot up onto a wall. Shoulders sinking down, seeing if we can to ease in towards us. Stretch into the glute. And releasing from there. Let's allow those feet to come back onto the floor. We're just going to allow ourselves to find a nice neutral position once again. We'll allow the arms to lengthen up towards the sky. Take a moment to lift one shoulder out of the ground and drop that shoulder back down. And then the opposite shoulder lifts and drops back down. Strengthen the core. We allow the arm to lift and drop back down. And just one more, lift and drop back down. So with those shoulders sinking into the floor, the rib cage nice and soft, we've got that level pelvis and a nice squeeze in the tummy. Let's gently circle the arms as if we're drawing circles on the ceiling. As you do that, thinking about the shoulders gliding down the back, let the head rest on into the floor. Find that connection between your rib cage and your pelvis. Now, as the arms open out, we can slide the leg away. Breathing in as the leg returns. Changing over to the other side, sliding the leg away. Breathing in as the leg returns. Now, if you want to, you can work with two legs lifted and you can do the same thing. Sliding the leg away, breathing in as the leg returns. Sliding the leg away, breathing in as the leg returns. Let's keep those shoulders gliding down into the ground. Rib cage is nice and soft. Yeah, we're going to take one more on each side. If anybody feels they want to lengthen both legs at the same time, they can do. Make sure you've got the back pressing into the floor. Make sure you've got the rib cage drawing down towards the pelvis. Finishing off there. Allow one foot to float down towards the floor. Allow the other foot to float down. Bring the arms back down by your side, feet come together, let the knees go wide. So making a nice diamond shape with the legs. And just surrender into the floor. Nice deep breath, connecting in through those core muscles. Draw the inner thighs back together. And maybe taking the feet just hip width apart, so just sort of walk the feet out once. Let's allow the arms to come on up. Draw the hands together as if you're grabbing hold of a gun. Charlie's Angels. Fingers reach for the sky. Now pelvis is nice and still, so you're strong through the core, and we just scan the gun across to our side, and then we breathe in as we draw back in. Elbows stay straightened. So we allow the gun to scan across to the opposite side, and then drawing back to the centre. Once again, coming across the body and coming back to the centre. To that point where we feel as though we want the hands to slide across one another, or we feel as though one of the elbows needs to bend, that's where we've gone far enough. Finishing off there, let the arms release down by your side, rolling onto your side, and then bring yourself up to a seated position. Just going to take a little bit of an inner thigh stretch, so taking the legs wide. Some of us will need to pop ourselves up on a little cushion. And here's the moment. Lifting the shoulders, just let them drop back down. So no, this position is the one that some of you all dread. So we won't dwell on that. We'll just see what we can do. We'll breathe through it. 2 more like that. Last one. And then the head can gently tip over from side to side. Feel as though being in this position is enough of a challenge. So sitting up tall is really good work for us. Others of us don't get an inner thigh stretch until we come forwards, in which case bring yourself as far forwards as you need to go to find that inner thigh stretch. Your chest might be dropping on the floor. I did have a lady in one of my classes who went, depends on the size of your chest, Emma. And I was like, whoo! Shoulders gliding down the back, extending out and away. Tailbone stretches behind us. Nice and deep with the breath, and then lifting up nice and tall. Gorgeous, well done. Good, coming round into a crouch position. Get there, let's just take a little rocking forwards and backwards through the feet. Ourselves up to standing. We're going to do a little roll up through the spine. Take your time to come up to standing. If you know rolling up doesn't work for you, by all means find a way that does. Let the head be heavy. Coming up to standing. Shoulders gliding down the back. Head is the last thing to come on top. We lift the shoulders, we roll the shoulders back and down. Oh, I was a bit woozy there, wasn't I? Lifting the shoulders. Now I found my balance, we're all right. Shoulders gliding down. Take a deep breath for me there, reaching really tall. Breathing out, and we'll let it all go. Give it a good shake out. Give yourselves a round of applause. Well done, guys.